Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. And yeah, you know exactly what we're looking at, don't you? Yes, sirree. Got another LiFePO4 battery to review. And we're going to do the unboxing right now. So, let me tilt it up a little bit here so you can get a good look at the top of the box and my window air conditioner, which will probably end up attaching to this thing. But the one item that we will see how it runs is this freezer. This is not a refrigerator, this is a freezer. And it is up to or down to temperature right now. So when I'm ready to do that part of the video, I will probably open the door for a while so that the compressor kicks on almost instantly. And don't worry, I will be adding other devices to this setup so that we can monitor the power consumption real time. All right, let's get this thing open. So I've got my knife in hand here, and I just brought this back just a few minutes ago actually, and set it right here to be opened in front of everybody. So let's see what we have. And we open the box up, and the first thing we see is the inside of the box. Ah, just kidding. All right. Looks like a nice little packet here with a instruction manual inside. It's got a little zipper on it. We'll open that zipper up. And let's pull this out. It's got, looks like a nice little card here. Let me get up a little higher. Yep. And it shows you all the different batteries that they actually have. They have quite an array of batteries here. I did look at their website, and they've got some pretty darn good prices. And I'll be going over the prices of different batteries in the video as we get along. All right, let's see. We're here with the manual. And the manual is, looks like it's, oh, look at that. They even have a nice color picture array of all of the batteries. They got them in the 12, 24, and 48 volt. And it's got all the information here, which I will be reading, and I'll go over the stats on it during the main video. But this is just the unboxing part here. Oh, we got a little piece of styrofoam, and it looks like it's well packed. There's a packet here with two of the bolts in it, and looks like all the way around the battery it has styrofoam. You know, let me raise this up a little bit. Hold on a second as I extend the legs on my tripod. There we go. Now we can look down at the product instead of over the top of it, right? All right, so we got styrofoam on the sides, in the front, and the back. All right, and then we've got a battery wrapped in a plastic bag. And this battery weighs about 24 pounds. I'll get the exact weight of it when we get deeper into the video. But this is just the unpackaging part of the video. All right, so let's get it out of the plastic bag. Do. It's unwrapping a Christmas present. All right. Looks like a nicely built and designed battery from the outside. Comes up these nice little fold-up handles. And I know that this battery is a budget battery. It's very inexpensive. And that's probably the reason they only give you 2 bolts. These are M8 bolts, looks like. And they have little plastic protection caps on here. Many of the other batteries I've received and reviewed come with a set of bolts already in the packs. And they also come with a set of protective caps to go over the tops of the bolts after you make your connections. And this battery doesn't have that. So probably in order to keep the pricing down on it, they've eliminated a lot of the stuff that you find in other batteries. But I do want to say, having the other size bolts in there, the longer bolts, is a good option, especially if you're going to be hooking these in series or parallel, where you can add more than one cable onto the terminals. Now these terminals are up above flush of the casing, so they could very easily short out, and that's something that you want to take care of. So if you don't have any spare caps from other batteries that you've had, you may want to put some type of a protection over the tops of these. Even if you just tape a piece of this over the connection after you connect your wires on there, because you could drop a tool or a wrench or anything short across there and cause a problem. Okay, so next on the agenda would be to test the shipping voltage of the battery as I just received it and see where we're at. Now we should be in the 12.3 volts area. All right, let's see. There. Can we see that? Yeah, all right. And I want the red one on the left side and black one on the right side. And we're showing 13.13, so that's a good sign that it is lower than 50% charge, and that's what you want these things to ship at, because shipping a fully charged one is dangerous, and we all know that. Anybody who's been dealing with LiFePO4 batteries knows about the dangers of them. So with that being said, I don't want to scare anybody off about LiFePO4 batteries. They're not dangerous unless you do something stupid. And that goes with anything. I mean, this knife, if I did something stupid, like stick it in my pocket without closing it up first, hey, I could get hurt. I can get a pretty bad cut needing stitches, right? So with everything, it's common sense that saves you. Like I tell people all the time, and they argue about gun control, and I say, listen, there isn't a gun in the world that kills somebody by itself. If there isn't somebody's finger on that trigger, that gun will not shoot, all right? So, simple. All right, let's not get off track. So we are set up here. I'm going to take the 2 little bolts out here and get those set up. And I'm going to get my battery charger on here and charge this up to 100%. And then when I come back to the video, I will also be adding on a battery monitor system, a shunt, so that we can see what's going on with our load tests. And we can keep an eye on the usage. We want to make sure that we get 1280 watt hours of power out of a fully charged battery. All right, so I'm going to get this thing charged up and I'll be back. Stand by. All right, I'm back, everybody. The battery is fully charged now. As you can see on the battery monitor, it's on 100%. And it's showing that I got 99 amp hours, which is that 1% variance that they claim on the efficiency of the battery, 99% efficient. So I've got 80 hours of power apparently left in that battery. Before I start anything, because it's been running my inverter for a while, I will put the battery charger back on it and make sure that I bring it all the way up to as full a charge as it will take. And then from that point on, we'll start the experiments on the load tests and see how to handle those. I've also got to get my laptop set up out here on the table to that side, over that way, so that I can set a timer on it, so we can see the timer and we can watch the information that goes through on there. Now, I could also use the time on here because it's showing that I've got 80.33 hours or 80.35 hours. It's bouncing around a little bit, but that's okay. Anyway, that can keep track of some of it for us in case there's any problems with the laptop. I'll make sure it's fully charged before we get going on that, and we'll start some of the load tests on this battery to see if it lives up to its claim of 100 amp hours. I'm hoping to see anywhere from 103 to 105 amp hours on this battery. And GRENER Power is a not really a super new company, but they've been around for a little while. And there's other videos out there on YouTube about them, and I've watched a few of them. So I'm not going to be tearing this battery open, but I will give you the information on the stats of what's going on when I'm ready for that part of it. And I've read the manual on it. It's pretty interesting. It is EVE cells, and it's supposed to be all Class A. So the only thing that I can't see on here, on my video, is the wiring inside of the unit. Now, this battery is supposed to have cold temperature protection, which is pretty basic nowadays in all LiFePO4 batteries. So we got to know that they have the cold protection. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem out here where it really gets cold. Like right now, after this rain, it's only in the 40s right now, in the low 40s. It's pretty chilly. Got to have low temperature protection. That's a must. Now, there's no Bluetooth in this battery, so we have to use the battery monitor to see what's going on with it. All right. So hang in there, everybody, and I'm going to set up for the experiments. Okay, everybody, I'm back. And before I forget, let's start this thing off with, I spoke too soon on missing the different size bolts. They were in the box, but they had somehow slipped down between the styrofoams and were all the way down at the bottom. And when I removed the styrofoams from the shipping box, I found these laying down at the bottom. So they were in a corner. So they do send you 2 sets of bolts, one shorter set and one longer set, and they are M8 bolts. Okay, so I had the charger on here, and you can see it's at 100% with 100 amp hours at 14.4 volts. And there's the charger over there. That's a 20 amp charger at 14.6 volts, for whatever time it took to charge the battery. It's at full power. All right, so it says right here we're going to have 1280 watt hours. That's multiplying 12.8 volts times 100 amp hours. That gives you your watt hours, okay? So 12.8 times 100 amp hours, 1280 watt hours. All right, for the durability test, for the stress test, I have a little tiny space heater over here that I'm going to be running off of it. Now, I've already plugged it in and have my kilowatt meter right here set up so that it's all ready to go. And I tested it. And at the medium setting, well, let's see. At the low setting, it uses 309 watts. That'd run for 4.15 hours, roughly. At the medium setting, it uses 877 watts, give or take 1 watt, either way. And that would take 1 hour and 46 minutes to run that battery down. So I got the high setting would be at 1,440 watts. And it varies. It goes 1,444, 148, 143, 144. So it's all over. So I'm calling it 1,440 watts on high. And that would only be 0.89 of an hour. Okay, that's 53.4 minutes by my math. All right, so we will do it at that setting. See how it handles using 1,440 plus watts when it only has 1,280 watt hours. And we'll see if it meets its calling at the 0.89 of an hour, or the 53.4 minutes. So I've got my laptop set up right there with the timer on it, all ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery charger from the unit. And you can see the gauge is still in the same place. Now I have a 2,000 watt pure sine. Let me get this cable out of the way. Okay, I have a 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter here, and that's what we're going to be running off of. I also have the remote set up here that goes to the inverter so we can see the power that's going on it. So we're going to turn that on first. And it says we're at 14 volts, 119 volts output. All right. So here we go. Now I'm going to turn this and actually set it down on the floor because I don't want it heating up any of the electronics up here and giving me false readings. All right, so I'm going to turn here so you can see it, and we are going to turn it all the way up to high. Power is on, and then we're going to adjust this all the way up to the maximum. All right, so now I can set this down on the floor, and we'll move around the corner here to the watt meter. And we're showing 119.5 volts coming in, hit watts. And we're using 1,442 to 1,445 watts to run this. Okay, we're gonna turn on the timer over here because you gotta remember we're gonna be a few seconds off because of moving around and doing each one of these. But there is, the timer is running. We're going to come back over here and keep an eye on the battery monitor. I got the battery monitor and shunt running on here so we can keep track of what's going on. It's saying that we have 58 minutes left. Now remember, we're supposed to get 53.4 minutes out of it. So let's see how it does on that. We're down to 12.2 volts on the draw and 1.6 kilowatts. So we're using 1,600 watts. So that's probably because we're also running the inverter. Well, we'll let this run for a little while and see what we get. It's a nice looking battery, nice color, and it's got all the information right on the battery. So down to 96% on it already. So I'm going to walk away and let this run for a little while. I'm going to move it out a little ways here so you can see both the inverter and the battery monitor both running at the same time. It seems to be holding pretty good for the amount of draw that's on it. Let me take a look-see over here. Yeah, we're still at 1,440 to 1,448 watts that's running through the system. But over here it's saying 1,600 watts. That's what the 1.6 kilowatts. A kilowatt is 1,000 watts. So 1.6 would be 1,600. So apparently we got just under 200 watts that's running on the system items that are connected to it. But it'll give us a good idea of how this thing holds up. So I'm going to go sit down and have a little snack for lunch while this runs, and you can keep an eye on it. And I think that's all I really need to cover right here. Oh, you know what? While I'm here, let me do this. Here's the insert that comes with it. So I'm going to read some of this off to you. Okay. The GRENER power battery. This is a 12.8 volt 100 amp hour battery, and the nominal voltage is 12.8 volts at 100 amp hours. The capacity at 20 amps is 300 minutes. Energy 1,280 watt hours, 1,280 watt hours. The self-discharge is on less than 3% per month. The cells are prismatic, and that's a good thing right there. Good prismatic cells. All right, charge performance. Recommended charge current 20 amps. That's what I did charge it at. Maximum charge current 100 amps. Recommended charge voltage 14.6 volts, and that's what I charged it at. The BMS cutoff voltage is less than 15.2 volts to 3.8 volts per cell. Maximum batteries in connection, 4 parallel, 4 series. That's pretty standard with all LiFePO4 batteries. In parallel, you can actually add more than just 4 batteries all in parallel. That keeps you at 12 volts and increases all your amp hours. But in series, maximum is 4 of them. So if you do them in series to go to 48 volts, you can still connect 4 groups of those together in parallel, keep your 48 volts and increase your amp hours. All right, so the weight of this thing is 27.5 pounds, and the it's a group 24 size battery. Now I did bring out my tape measure here just to show you. We are at just around 8 inches tall, maybe 8.5 with the bolts, the top of the bolts. Then we are 6 5/8 deep, and we are 10 1/4 wide. So that's the size of your battery there. And we're going on 6 minutes in here in a few minutes, and we're at 86%. So that's a pretty good sign right there. I kind of like it. All right, so let's see. Maximum continuous discharge current, 100 amps. So the BMS is set for 100 amps. If I go over 100 amps, it's supposed to kick off. Now, it's showing right now 100 minus 134 amps. So I'm over the 100 amps there, and it hasn't kicked off. The BMS has not kicked off. Peak charge current 200 amps for 3 seconds. The BMS discharge cutoff current 300 amps, plus or minus. That seems a little high to me. I don't think I want to push 300 amps off of this battery. That would not be a good thing. Plus or minus 10 amps. So they're talking about anywhere from 290 to 310 amps. I don't think I'd want to risk that. Okay, BMS discharge cutoff voltage, 10 volts. And that's what I have my battery monitor set for too. Short circuit protection is included. Alright, so let's see. That covers everything on that card. We'll get into the booklet right here. The little booklet that comes with it is very nicely put together. Shows you the groups of batteries. I've shown you this before. There's your dimensions on the battery. Pretty much what I said, 10 1/4 by 6.61, 6.5, 6 5/8 by 8.3 tall. Okay, it's got an IP65 rating for moisture resistance. And there's your chart with all your information on it. I'm just going to quickly go through this page by page so that you can see what's going on in the booklet. Here's your battery cable size chart. So you want to always pay attention to your battery cable sizes for the power that you're going to be running. And like I said, where it's set for the 300 amp or 310 amps maximum on the discharge, you would need some pretty decent sized wire on that. And it wants 2/0 for 175 amps. Figured double that, you're going up to 4/0. That's crazy. Alright, so charge specifications, discharge specifications, voltage when charging and discharging. With that heater running, it's getting nice and warm in here. I chose today to do this because I'm hunkered down anyway with 30-mile-an-hour winds outside, and they're supposed to get worse as the day goes on. Alright, so 0.2C is the recommended charge current. That's 20 amp. And we're down to 77 or 76% now on the battery. And we're 10 minutes and 10 seconds in. Storage and shipping information, and safety warnings, and safety instructions. That's it. Alright, so far I'm pretty impressed with the performance of this battery. So we're down to 3/4 capacity right now at 74 amp hours, and we're 11 minutes in. So if you figure 4 times 11, that's going to be 44, 45, about 45 minutes. But again, we're discharging at 1.6 kilowatts. So that's going to make a little bit difference. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write those numbers down so I can calculate them. So the battery monitor is saying we're using 134 amps draw at 1.6 kilowatts. All right. The only thing that's concerning me at this point is the 134 amps of draw on this thing constantly. Let me check the battery. Okay, the battery's a little bit warm in the center, but nothing to worry about. Yeah, right in the center is where it's a little bit warm. The rest of it is cool. All right, so we're still okay on the go. Get that turned a little bit. Oh, we just had a shutdown. So let me stop the stopwatch. That equals out the extra seconds, so we're at 12.47 minutes. So I think it might have been the overpower shutdown because of running at 134 amps. The BMS finally decided. Now, remind you, when you charge a LiFePO4 battery, you definitely want to, after that, let it sit for 24 to 48 hours so that the BMS can equalize the cells inside the battery. All right, so I did that. This battery has actually been sitting for a lot longer than that because I did have one little situation I was concerned with, and I had to contact the manufacturer to see what they said about it, and they didn't seem to be too worried about it, but they did recommend I isolate the battery. And let's see, I gotta shut off the heater and anyway keep an eye on it. So I did, and I let it sit for better than a week, 2 weeks actually, just to make sure. The situation that I encountered was something I'd never seen before in LiFePO4 batteries. Was the battery, I came out here and I heard this low hum, and I kind of like moved around to see where it was coming from, and then I got up close to the battery. It was coming right from the battery. There was a low hum and a light vibration in the battery. So I actually picked the battery up, and remember, this was before anything was connected to it. This was after it was fully charged and just sitting to balance. So there was nothing connected at all, not even the battery monitor. Nothing was on there. Okay, so it's still in the off position. The BMS hasn't recovered. I'm going to shut off the inverter. And yeah, it's definitely the battery that's completely discharged because, or shut down from the BMS because there's nothing showing on the battery monitor itself. Well, let's see if I press this button. Nope, there's nothing there. We'll give it a few more minutes and see if it turns itself back on. And if not, I'll reconnect the battery charger to it and go from there. Then I'll do another video after this, after I get it completely recharged back up again. We'll do it again, but we'll run it at the 877 watts and see if it lasts closer to 1.46 minutes, 1 hour 46 minutes. All right, it should have kicked back on by now, and it hasn't. So let's take the charger back to it. We're going to connect the negative over there and the positive over here. And the charger has gone into charge mode. The red light is on. And there we have 70% you're saying in the battery, but the BMS went on shutdown. Now granted, I was pushing it a little bit hard at the 134 amps that it was drawing constantly for that period of time for just under 13 minutes. But I would have thought that it would have kicked off sooner than that. So I'm going to pause this video, let this thing recharge while I go get a snack, a bite to eat, and we'll see what we get out of it from there. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and what had happened was apparently running the system on 134 amps for 12 minutes and 12 minutes 47 seconds was what it took for the BMS and the battery to say shut down. So it shut down the BMS, and the battery was at that point was stone. It wasn't going anywhere, and there was 70% left in the battery. Now right now it's showing 100% in the battery because I've already recharged it. My charger is right over there on the table, and it's already disconnected and already set to go again. And this time I added a amp meter clamp on the positive cable coming to the inverter. So I still have the heater here, and it is in the off position. So this time we're going to run it on medium, not high. So we're going to be looking at about 877 watts, but I did notice that the inverter also uses around 16 watts. So I'm going to set this back here for right now. So it's ready to go. And move in a little closer here. Get a better angle. All right. So first thing we're going to do is turn on the inverter. Let it get up to its proper settings here. So we're at 119 volts at 13.8 volts coming in from the battery. And there it is. It jumped back down to where it says 70% on the meter again. Now I'm not sure if something damaged the shunt and battery monitor, or if it's the battery itself, because down here it's showing 14.1 volts. Now I've gone into the settings and I got the capacity set for 100 amp hours and full at 14.3 volts. So I don't understand what's going on with that right now, but we're going to try to do the final test here anyway. Okay, so let me see if I can get out of this. There we go. So we're showing 14 volts, 70% on the monitor. That's why I brought the amp meter in. Now the amp meter is showing it's using 1.36 amps just to run the meter right here. So let's get going on this. All right, first things first, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to reset the clock. And we're going to set over here on start and get ready. So I'm going to turn on the heater right here. We're on medium and we're going to crank it all the way up. All right. Now I'm going to start the timer. And there's the timer running. And there's what's going on. So here it's saying that the battery is already down to 12.3 volts. And up there we're saying we're down to 69%, 12.7 volts. So I'm not sure what's going on. I think the battery is failed, as far as I know, because I can put the charger on it and the charger runs it all the way up to 14 volts, but then as soon as I start running anything, it jumps back down to 70%. Now down here on the amp meter, it's showing 77 amps. That's pretty high. Well, we'll let it run for a little while and see what happens. And I'm 6 minutes into the video right now, but only 1 minute and 29 seconds, or 1.5 minutes in on the test. So I'm going to put this back down on the floor so it doesn't heat up anything up here. The unit here showing 12.2 to 12.1 volts, and the little icon here is showing 4 bars in it, not 5. Well, let's see what happens from here. It's saying I've got 52 minutes left of battery power. Up here. And it's saying we're drawing 962 watts total. That's 76.5 amps. And that pretty much, here's a 76.5 amps, and then right down here it's showing 77. So those are in agreement for the amps it's drawing at 962 watts. So I'm going to write that down. So that should give me, if the battery was actually was 100%, with the 1280 watt hours to start with, then that should run just a little over 1 hour. So I'm going to pause this, so we don't have to sit here for 1 hour watching this thing run, and I'll be back to show you if there's any changes. Alright, I'm back. We're down to 19% on the monitor, and it's showing flashing right now, meaning that it's getting down to the warning, which I had the warning set at 20%. So it's warning me that it's getting low on power, but it says it's got 12.5 volts still in the battery, and still drawing at 963 watts. But it's saying I've got 14 minutes left, and this is where we're at on the setup. It's going into 40 minutes of running. So if it really only had 70% in the battery, then it should be cutting off any time now. Now I think I've got it set for 10% for actual shutdown, but there's something not going correct here. Now I just broke out the manual on my battery monitor, and I'm pretty sure I had all the settings correct on it, but I'm going to actually shut things down right now, and I'm going to try to recharge the battery and reset the monitor back to 100% when it's fully charged, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, everybody, I'm back again, and this time we're looking at 100% on the gauge, and it seems to hold there. So I got the amp probe set up down here, and we're going to turn this on, and this will be the last attempt at getting a good test out of this battery. I've never run into this much trouble with any of the other batteries I've tested. Now, just in case I forget to mention it, that again, this is a budget battery for $149.99, 150 bucks. Now, remember, this battery does not have cold temperature protection. So if you're going to be in a cold climate, you do not want this battery at all. If you're going to be getting down below freezing, this battery will not be good for you, okay? So if you're in an area or in a state where you never ever see temperatures down below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, then this battery will work for you. All right? So here we go. We're going to turn on the inverter, and we're holding at 100% on this one now. So we're showing we're ready to go. Now, the last time, you remember, 41 minutes and 46 seconds, and it was down to the flashing screen showing a warning that it was the battery was getting low. So we're going to do this again on medium setting, which is around 963 watts, 964 watts, somewhere in there. Okay, at 77 amps. So you can see right now, just by turning the inverter on, we're using 18.6 watts at 1.31 amps. So that's just the residual that we have to have just to get going, all right? So over here, we're showing 119.5 volts, and we're going to go to watts, and we're at 0 watts because nothing is running yet. Here's the heater. We're going to turn it up to medium and turn it all the way over on the heat setting. Alright, so the heat setting is all the way up, we're on medium. So I'm going to set that down on the floor down here. You can see we're using 874 to 877 watts. Alright, that's what the heater is using. Now coming out of the battery, we're using 959 watts. Right, 960 watts. Because, don't forget, we have we're powering the display here, we're powering the display there, and we're powering the inverter. So it looks like it's still holding at 100% there, showing 12.9 volts in the battery, 12.8 volts in the battery now, at 74.5, 74.6 amps, 960 watts total draw on the battery. Alright, so I'm going to switch over this way, and we've got it probably a minute or so that went by before I get over here to turn the clock on, but we'll take that into consideration at the end of the test. Alright, so we're already down to 99% at 98 amp hours. And remember, 960 watts isn't much lower than the 1280 watts maximum that you get out of this battery. Okay, let me see if I can get that. Yeah, right there, 1280 watt hours. All right, so that's where we are. We're going to let this run for a while, and I'll come back and check it, and we'll finalize this video, get it edited together and posted. Stand by. Okay, everybody, I'm back again, and we're coming up on the end of this test. You see we got 9% left in the battery, and here's our time. Okay, so the math actually says that we should have gotten, or we should get, 1 hour and 19.8 minutes. That's 1 hour and 20 minutes. And it looks like it's coming in under that. With we're just going on 1 hour and 11 minutes now, and only 8% left in the battery. So we're going to be shutting down here pretty soon. It says 6 minutes left on there, so that would put me at 1 hour and 17 minutes, which would be 3 minutes under the rated 100 amp hours that it should be getting. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it here. I'm not going to cut this video off. I'm going to stay right on it and see where we go. Now, on the gauge here, it's saying we're got 11.9 volts still in the battery, and it's set to shut off at 10 volts if I'm not mistaken. So I've got 1.8 volts left in the battery before the inverter will kick off. We're down to 7% now, and it's saying 5 minutes left, which would put us at 1 hour and 17 minutes, which would be 2 minutes under. So we'll stay with it here and see how this is going. Now, I do want to also say that I did search the box and the packaging and everything, and it did come with the extra bolts that I thought were missing. They had dropped down between the styrofoam, but it did not come with the protective caps to go over the heads of the bolts to protect from dropping a tool on there and shorting out or anything like that. So I do have a spare set from other batteries that I tested. One of the batteries that came with it, I don't need the caps on it because it's in a location where it'll never get shorted. So I'll be able to use those on this battery. But as I did say, I'm here in the desert, and out here in the desert we do get freezing temperatures, and sometimes what they call hard freezers, where it gets down to 17 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees Fahrenheit. I've seen all those temperatures here. So a battery without low temperature protection would be what they call bricked if that happened. All right, we're coming up on the end here at 4%, and we're at 1 hour and 14 minutes now. And it's saying 3 minutes left, so that's 1 hour and 17 minutes. That's exactly what my math comes out to. So it looks like it's going to actually fail the 100 amp hour that it's supposed to have. But we'll be fair. We'll let it go a little longer. Now, while I'm standing here waiting for this to finish, I do want to say for GRENER Power, come on guys, put low temperature protection in your batteries. It can't add that much more to the price of it. It's a sensor that connects to your BMS. I mean, come on. Everybody wants a battery with low temperature protection, because if they use it in a motorhome, they're going to go camping somewhere where it gets cold. They want us to have their battery last through that. So please add that to it. That would be a plus to you guys. Again, it's a good looking battery. It's a nice lightweight battery, and it is a budget battery. And again, it's $149.99 or $150 if you have that, throw that extra penny in. But so yeah, it's a decent battery. I mean, like, it's a budget battery. Come on, for $150. If I'm only going to get 1 hour and 17 minutes out of the run on it, instead of 1 hour and 20 minutes, you're only talking 3 minutes of power. So that's not a big deal, right? So I would give it a pass on that. I mean, for the price, what more can you expect? But again, no low temperature protection. Come on, guys. That's a very important thing. And why not, while you're at it, throw another $10 on the price and add Bluetooth. That would be a real handy thing to have. Since I've tested batteries with Bluetooth. I don't think I'll ever go back to ever buying or using batteries that don't have Bluetooth. Oh, we're at 0%. Let's see how much longer it's going to run. Yeah, let's see what's going on the amps here. We're still pulling 82.8. Call it 82.9, 83 amps. So it's still running some power there. Let's let it go. No need cutting it off in the middle of a test until it cuts itself off, right? Yeah, it looks like 83.9 here, 84 up there. So the amps it's pulling and the battery monitor are in agreement for what it's pulling. It's still running at 968 watts, and that's 970 on the kilowatt meter. So those numbers are still in agreement, and we are now at 1 hour and 18 minutes. So we're only got one more minute to go, and it'll have met at least its 100 amp hour. And most of the batteries I've tested before, they've gone from 103 amp hours to 107 amp hours. Well, let's see if there's any heat in the battery. Oh yeah, the battery's a little bit on the warm side. Not hot, not that you can't touch it, but it is showing some heat off the top of it. So it's working hard right now to do its thing. And we're at 10.2 volts. When it gets to 10 volts, I'm pretty sure it's going to... Oh, that's at 10 volts there. 9.9 volts now. I hear the alarm. Okay. The alarm says we're going to be shutting down here any second now. There it is. It's off. So we are just under 1 hour and 20 minutes. So it did actually meet... I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button there when I was reaching over to do the shut off the timer. So 1 hour, 19 minutes, 41 seconds. It should have been 1 hour, 19.8. It's close enough to say it did at least produce the 100 amp hours it claims to do. Now I've shut everything down here. It didn't actually die or anything like that. The inverter did shut down because it got below the voltage setting that it would work with. But other than that, it's a pass. All right, so again, great budget battery if you guys are interested. And I'm sorry for all of the little quirks and problems I had going through to get it up to this point, but we did get through it. And I do have to say again, I haven't experienced any of these other problems with any of the other batteries. They all went through the tests without a problem. But I do have to also add to that, I wasn't running such a high wattage system like the space heater that I'm using. I did run that air conditioner right there. I did run this freezer down here, and I did run a oil-filled electric heater. But I only ran that at the 900 watt setting. So, okay. That's it, everybody. I want to thank you all for sticking with me through this. comments and questions below. There'll be links in the description for this battery if you decide you want to buy it. That's it. Thank you, everybody.